We're always trying to identify the patterns with Nintendo, what they like to do with their products, how they like to announce them, how they like to package them. But I will admit, it's getting harder and harder to predict Switch 2 editions. They are very, very all over the place. When they first fully revealed the Switch 2, they announced a whole bunch of Switch 2 editions. These were these big upgrades, you know, 10, 20 bucks, kind of depending on the game. Some of them had like a bunch of extra content. Some of them just kind of looked better. But like, you know, for the most part, it was like a brand new packaging of these games for the Switch 2, and they'd go on store shelves. But then Animal Crossing came around and was like, okay, how about it's like the base game on the Switch is going to get most of the upgrades that we've cooked up. The Switch 2 is mostly just going to get like, you know, better visuals and a couple little like Switch 2 specific features, mouse mode, microphone, that kind of thing. And it'll just be $5. So like a way more like minor upgrade, but for a much more reasonable price. But and it still made sense. They're going to do a boxed version. It's Animal Crossing, sold 1 billion trillion copies. Okay. But then now they've shaken things up even more. They just announced that Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is getting a Switch 2 edition. That's a double edition right there. That is Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. There was just no better way to name that game. I mean, can you combine them? Definitive Switch 2 edition, but then that suggests that there was a previous Switch 2 edition. I think it's basically the only way they could do it. Bit of a mouthful, but that's okay. And the weird thing is that this is another one that's a lot like Animal Crossing, where there's not really a lot like of new stuff coming to the game. I mean, if anything, this is the most tame Switch 2 edition that we have seen thus far, but it's another one that is only $5. But then really the weird part is that they basically shadow dropped this. Like, it's available today. Like, it's already available, and then there's gonna be a physical release coming later, like April 16th. And yeah, I don't know, I guess I find it surprising for a number of reasons. Yeah, just like the staggered release. That's just kind of like a new thing for Switch 2 editions. Like, now that they've done it once, they've broken the ice. Now that's something that we can expect to maybe potentially happen again. A shadow drop of a Switch 2 edition with the physical version coming later. I mean, great. We like shadow drops. We certainly do. Except for the fact that that makes it even less likely that we will be getting a regular Nintendo Direct maybe next week, while it's still technically February. I really don't know, but I suppose that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, it is cool. And I will say, like, this is not me, like, trying to downplay the importance of the game. I do think I am a little bit surprised that they are giving it a physical edition. I'm happy, for sure. Plenty of people want the physical edition. I think it's just the fact that it was just such a small little upgrade, and it's already a game that, like, it sold. I mean, obviously, like, these games, they sell well enough. They just don't sell like an absolute ton. And this version is gonna sell even less than the previous version. So I guess I'm just a little bit surprised that they would want to give it a physical version, like shelf space. You know what I mean? I feel like they'd want to like save that space for, I don't know, again, like it's a great game and everything. I just, it's a new version of an already kind of modest selling game. And this new version isn't even that. I think that's really it. Like, if it had like new content or it was like a really, really big visual upgrade, then maybe I could see it. But it's really not that big of a difference. I'm really surprised they didn't just sell it digitally as a $5 upgrade and kind of leave it at that. But I don't know. So yeah, the whole like the way that they're approaching this is a little bit. It's just kind of interesting. It is kind of new. And as for the upgrade itself. Obviously, this is a very good thing because there are several Xenoblade games on the Switch that could all stand to get a performance patch, and we didn't know which ones might get Switch 2 editions. I really didn't think any would. I really did think they were just gonna get basic, just free performance boost patches, and I think in this case, I mean, that would have been nice. Here's the thing. It's like, I completely admit I'm in this, like, the privileged YouTuber position, or like, am I like a boiling frog? You know, I'm just used to buying whatever. Maybe I should be mad that they are daring to charge $5 for this when it really probably could have just been a performance patch. You know, like personally, like for Animal Crossing, it's like, I don't know, $5. It's just too easy to give $5. That's probably why they're doing this. They probably decided at the last minute, let's just charge $5 for it, just because it's $5. It's so easy to spend $5. And then, I don't know, sure, we'll give it a physical one just because we've done that for all Switch 2 editions. So far, there have been no digital exclusive Switch 2 editions. I'm very curious to see if that is on the table. That'll be another new thing that they do if they do end up doing that. But at least for now, they're going with the, you know, if it's got a Switch 2 edition, it's got a physical release. But yeah, like this really probably just could have been a free patch because looking at the footage side by side, looking at the release trailer, it's not a huge upgrade. You know, primarily it's the resolution and the frame rate. I mean, that's like obvious, you know, with these, pretty much all of these Switch 2 editions, apart from Animal Crossing, which again was a whole thing. They probably couldn't do 60 FPS without really breaking the game open and doing a whole bunch of work. But yeah, like basically standard 4K visuals, 60 FPS here. Although it does say on the release trailer, up to 60 FPS and up to 4K, so I do have to imagine that as far as the frame rate goes, you know, you're gonna get slowed down here and there. It's a big open world, lots going on, so there can be times when it is not running at 60 FPS, but for the most part, it will be targeting 60 FPS. Obviously, that is a pretty darn good upgrade. Yeah, even just like watching the cutscenes here, it is really nice. It is really, really nice seeing these, because they're such big games. They're so big, they're so pretty, the environments are so big, and so it's really, really nice seeing them run at a higher frame rate. As always, with any game where you've just like seen so much footage of it running in one way, to finally see it running with that higher frame rate, it's just like this, woo, like this moment where it's just like, whoa, look at that. There's a little bit of a wow factor there. And then as far as resolution goes, it's probably just gonna be, you know, like a lot of like upscaling and stuff. Could be using dynamic resolution scaling, so again, it's targeting something like 4K, but it may not actually be delivering like native 4K at all times. But like, as with basically all Switch 2 games so far, at least most of them, even if it doesn't go all the way native 4K, all the little trickery in the DLSS and stuff, to me, it looks really, really great, you know? If not complete 4K, then very close to it. And yeah, I do not have the game myself, but just judging by these videos here, it's clearly a lot better. So the thing about these Switch 2 editions, though, is that like, with the free performance patches, that's when they just patch the game, render at a higher resolution, higher frame rate, period. But with the Switch 2 editions, they've actually been going in and like updating the textures, like mainly just the textures. You know, you'll have some cases like Metroid Prime 4 where they did a lot more and like the lighting itself is different. But like if you want to talk about like the biggest changes to a Switch 2 edition over the original, that's not just resolution and frame rate, it's the textures. It's actually going in and replacing the textures with higher resolution versions of those textures. Because, you know, they create an asset, they create a texture, and then they scale it down so that it fits well and runs well for the hardware that the game is running on. Switch 2 has a lot more to work with, so they can up-res them. This game does appear to do that. It looks like it is, but if it is, then only slightly. Like, really slightly. It's not a really big difference. Like, you know, you'll be looking at some of the shots and like some of the rocks, mainly just like the rock textures, and then like the character's hair, you know, looks like a little bit sharper, not that much sharper, not as sharp as you would hope, and not as sharp as you would expect, like just based on the other Switch 2 editions that we have gotten. So that is like slightly disappointing, but I do think that, you know, when you do see it running at 60 FPS 4K on the TV, all added together, these things probably will make a difference. Yeah, I don't know. I guess just my point is there's not a whole lot differentiating this from what we would expect from just a regular free performance patch. And again, does that mean that's wrong for Nintendo to charge anything for it at all? But then it's so easy to accept because it's only $5. I don't know. It does look very, very nice, though. It really does, and I'm very, very happy for people who, you know, whether they want to replay the game or play the game for the first time. It's gonna be nice, because, yeah, they're really big adventures, and they are many, many hundreds of hours long, and this is gonna be a lot easier on the eyes. So that's good. I mean, if you want to say one more slightly bad thing about the fact that this is a Switch 2 edition, does that mean that it's going to take that much longer before we get these kinds of upgrades for the other games? Because, like, with free patches, they could just throw them out whenever, you know? Like, they can give us multiple free patches for multiple games at once. And so, like, right now, the Switch has 3, if you don't even count, like, the standalone DLCs. It's got 3 Xenoblade games that need performance upgrades. So if instead of just, like, giving us free casual ones, they're doing, like, this whole Switch 2 edition thing, does that mean that that's what we can expect for the future ones? And if that's the case, and they're putting, like, a physical version on the shelf, they're probably not going to want to release them too close together. So that's a bit of a shame. How long do we have to wait before we get these for, you know, for 1 definitive edition and 2? Wait, no, that's 4. There are 4 Xenoblade X and then all the original trilogy, right? 1, 2, and 3? Jeez! So yeah, then I really don't know the plan. I really don't know what Nintendo's plan is for those games, because now you've set a precedent, you know? This is barely better than a regular free performance boost patch. So does that mean that we're not gonna get those for the other games? Now we have to just kind of wait every year or something. They'll give us like another Switch 2 edition, but then we'll be getting Xenoblade 4 in not too long anyway, probably next like couple of years or something. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm rambling, so I should stop. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition Nintendo Switch 2 Edition is a thing. Congratulations.